Hey guys, welcome back to the Harambe's Heroes podcast. I'm here with the boys, and we're gonna talk a little bit about Lone Star Open. But before we talk about our shit, that shit's boring. We have a real special guest on from all the way from California. He showed up to LSO, did really well with a really super weird Stormcast list. But go ahead and introduce yourself, Noe.
Hey guys, my name's Noe Aquino. I placed eighth at the Lone Star Open. I went 4-1, and I lost to Zach with his Nurgle list. He played a great game and knew exactly what to do, and that's probably why I didn't get second.
Yeah, don't we all lose to Zach, dude? Don't worry. I lost to Zach too, dude. Like we all lose to Zach.
We've all done it.
But you had like annihilators and shit, right? Like super weird, and it was completely different from what everyone else played. And they go ahead and like kind of talk about how annihilators work because it's a brand new unit, and no one knew how to screen it apparently.
Yeah, so I want to say that this list is almost autopilot as shootcast. Like it just plays itself for the most part. Shootcast is worse because 30-inch range, mortal wounds. So I mean the basic is get your annihilators in with Gavriel, get them the 3-inch charge, and then just mortal wounds their screen or their big unit. Like if it was Iron Breakers, a unit Iron Breakers is going to get wiped off the board.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed with 3.0, everyone's on the monster hype, and everyone seemed to forget that screening is part of the game. So
People have forgotten that for a long time. Like that's nothing new. Like
need something to eat the cruise missile, or the cruise missile just drives into your monster.
Yeah, and especially with them not being able to redeploy because it's a setup. If you don't screen, your guys are going to be gone, whatever it may be. And I noticed that all these battle plans, if you get pinned in your deployment, you're not going to win the game first 2 rounds, especially with time as being a factor. A lot of people play slow. Big horde armies take forever to move around effectively, and I ended up just playing a list that was going to be quick and fast, and I could just throw off the opponent, them realizing, holy crap, I just lost 400, 900 points, top of turn.
2+ base save too seems to be like really strong to have a 3+ base save. So I can imagine that 2+ with like all out defense is you're basically immune to most of the damage in the game, right?
Yeah, not only that, but the -1 from shock and awe when they come in.
Also, yeah.
So, it really hurts armies that you don't know that. Well, because Stormcast have, for the most part, second edition, not been very a melee centric army, and everyone just remembers shootcast. So everyone forgets that you get that -1. So it really does help. It's a very just keep you in your deployment zone unless you're Zach. Army.
You kind of alluded to it. Y'all can go ahead and talk about your game too. I don't think I've heard y'all talk about it proper, but I imagine he did the same thing to me, where he just overloaded your deployment zone and was like, "Here, you can kill the junk in my army, and I'll just score."
Yeah. So Zach's game. Just kind of a little bit. I've played against a couple Nurgle players. One of the assistant TOs at the event plays Nurgle, and he's just like, he told me like you're screwed, 100% you're screwed. And Zach played so for the most part I had a great time at Lone Star Open. My last 2 games, which were against Zach and the player who got number 5 or number 6, the Blood Knight player,
Chris Cage.
Yes, probably the best games I've played in Age of Sigmar in a long while, and very polite. There was no nagging, and it was really refreshing because my first 3 games, they were so. But with Zach and the Blood Knight player, it was literally like playing a friend, where sometimes you got to clamp down on your friend, but it wasn't it wasn't hostile, it wasn't like awkward. It was just, it is what it is. But just to quickly go over, Zach, I'm like a million drops. I'm 14 drops. So Zach gets to dictate turn order. He gave me top of 1, and he screened out perfectly well. He knew exactly what I was going to do. and I didn't know what to actually do against him. So I thought maybe I'm gonna let him move up and maybe like create some holes and allow my annihilators to come in. But that was literally my mistake. And Zach played
My boy
perfectly.
shut you down. I bet he couldn't bring them things in anywhere, huh?
Wait for Zach to make a mistake, and the mistake just never comes.
Yeah. So unfortunately for me, coming to Texas really opened my eyes, and I told Zach before, like the quality of players here in Texas is, a lot of people are going to get their feathers ruffled, but I think Texas has really really good players, and I just was surprised by the fact that realistically I probably should have lost my game against the Blood Knight player, and I probably should have lost my game 3 as well, because the Texas players, like, one, they know their army well, and they know their opponent's army very well. And honestly, because this list is so autopilot, like, I was just like, deep strike Hermider, I'm gonna do damage. And that's literally all that won me the game, because I ended up killing, in my second game, I just know that it was one of the big BCR models, but I didn't even know it was the general. I didn't know what it was. I just did damage, and I'm like, you die. So
That's the best kind of damage.
and the same thing with the Blood Knight player. I didn't even know that was like the better Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. I just did my damage, and Zach knew exactly what to do, and he screened me out, and I ended up pretty much saying, Zach, you won, bro. Like, it is what it is. My lack of game knowledge and his, in comparison to his, just literally it was miles above. I had never played a game where I felt so outplayed in a while, because compared to my local scene, and a lot of people are going to hate me again, I never felt like I was actually outplayed. I just felt like, oh, this list is just stupid because it does mortal wounds. Like, that's, like, to me, mortal wounds are like no skill, right? But being outmaneuvered, being completely outplayed was great. It's a great feeling, because it makes me see that there's that much higher of a skill floor, or a skill ceiling, excuse me, in the game. Because previously I was just like, this game's like pretty stupid, but after playing at Texas, I just realized that that I'm wrong, and I'm actually excited to play people of Zach and the Blood Knight players caliber, because it'll just make me better at the game, and it won't be as easy as it is. Unfortunately, I just have to travel for it, because I don't think there's that great of talent in my local meta. Unfortunately, there's some good players, like Sam Valadez, who plays Iron Jaws. But other than that, like, I don't think there's I haven't been challenged, I guess, is the best way in my local meta, other than someone brings some, like, OP list and he wins because mortal wounds.
That's a huge compliment, man. I think we all really appreciate it, and I think that most of the Texas community will appreciate it too, because it's kind of what we like strive for, right? We're all like helping each other and just all trying to level up, and that's how you level up, is that you have good players around you. Also, it doesn't come from one player dominating a scene; it comes from everybody pushing each other to get better. And then I'm also really happy to hear that you had good experiences with the Texas guys too, because we also try to vet a lot of that. The things that can create negative play experience, we try to vet that as a community. So it's good to hear that was your experience coming to Texas.
Well, the behaviors that create those experiences. We're going to put some heat on the table, but we're going to be nice as we feed it to you.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess a good example of that was, I lost to Zach, and I'm not trying to stroke his ego or anything, but like the fact that I lost to Zach, but if I forgot a battle tactic, he doesn't want to win because of a gotcha or like you misplayed. He won, like, Zach beat me trying my best, and he gave me like the tactical mistake, right? Like if I forgot to announce my battle tactic, like, just do it now, it's fine, right? I didn't end up completing it, but he gave me those things, right? And then And then one of the things that I'm gonna remember for a long time is Zach ended up. I think he ended up picking Conquer during his first turn, the bottom of the first. And he ended up not having enough models to claim to complete the battle tactic. And I was like, well, like we just did combat and you allocated models and you've already piled in, and he didn't even fight me on it, right? He was just like, you're right, and that was it. It was just straight squashed and like amazing. Like that's not something that I have seen in a Warhammer setting in forever, right? Like I go to LVO, I go to SoCal Open, and I want to again. I just want to say that Texan players are a lot more friendly, and they're okay with, if it didn't go their way, then it's fine, right? It's so yeah.
You don't have to worry about stroking his ego. He does that enough himself, and everybody around him also strokes his ego. There's a lot of ego stroking for old Mr. Kennedy, but yeah, and I think a lot of the negative play experience can also come from. I'm glad you brought it up because it's good to explore. Is not having knowledge of your opponent's army, right? Like a lot of that abrasiveness can happen because you aren't aware of what their army can do. So you get those gotcha mechanics, and you can't plan and move your army accordingly based on having that knowledge. So I think that is what a lot of that negative experience is linked to. And I think that as a whole, our community's done a good job of bringing everybody's knowledge up about armies as a whole across the board. Like a lot of people go out of their way to try and master more than just their army. So that game knowledge is really what is going to make a better game, I think, at least in my opinion. I don't know if y'all have input on that as well.
You'll take it in stride too when somebody brings up something you weren't thinking about. Like in our game, Noe. So these 5 games are my first games having Untamed Beasts in my list. And when you brought up, hey, you're like, hey, you owe me a Narwhal check on your Untamed Beasts. It just blew my mind. I was like, oh, you're right, they're not Nurgle. I do have to roll those. And so I killed a couple of my own Untamed Beasts after you reminded me, and it was kind of funny.
Yeah, again, like it literally felt like I was playing someone back home. I have a couple of people that I play consistently, but it definitely felt competitive, and I really liked that. And so I'm really excited about going back to Texas, and I know that you guys do like the Texas Masters series, which is kind of like its own league, right? If you guys can explain that for people that aren't familiar with your guys' scene.
Yeah, I think Zach can go ahead and explain it. He's actually helping run one of the tournaments, so he'll have some good knowledge on that.
Sure. So the Texas Masters series is it's a series inside Texas where we have our own leaderboard that we track. Every major city, the 4 major cities, so Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, each runs a major grand tournament. And if you place at those, and if you place at your locals, you can submit those scores to the Texas Masters Council, and they have a running leaderboard over the course of our whole season. And so basically everyone's going to all the Texas events and going to the Texas locals to try and score these points for this leaderboard. And it works a lot like ITC, where your top 5 scores for the season are tracked. And so anytime you have a GT score come up or something that's higher than one of your 5 top, it'll just replace it. And at the end of the Texas Masters season, there's an invitational tournament where the top 20 players on the leaderboard are invited to the Texas Masters Invitational that decides the winner of the season. And there's also other things like if a city, like if say Houston, a player from Houston wins the Austin event, they also have like a territories taken. They have a map of Texas and it shows the territories other places, states, or cities have taken in Texas. And it's just kind of a fun series that we get to do, and gives us all something to strive for and a reason to paint and come out and play.
Yeah, that's great. Like, is that something unique to Texas, or do other regions do that? I mean, I've kind of been isolated in California for the most part. So, and I've just been about the ITC scene. So I don't know how other scenes.
Yeah,
Texas,
so as far as I'm aware, it is unique to Texas. There's other, like in Europe and in like New Zealand, they have like small circuits, but as far as what I understand, this is fairly unique.
Yeah, I mean, the way Texas, I mean, how big Texas is, the fact that we can run 4 major tournaments in a year or 5, even, I mean, I think there's going to be 7 in Texas by the time this is all said and done in a couple, in like a year. So I think that really helps fuel an event like this, where in other places in the country, you would have to combine several states in order to make this happen, where Texas, we could just do it all within our borders. So that's a big thing that we have available to us.
But another thing is that we will track if like other people from other states come and play, you'll be tracked on the leaderboard. You'll represent your state, or if we have enough people from a certain state coming in, we'll actually pick out like the city that enough people are coming from, and you'll represent that. And you can get invited to the Texas Masters Invitational if you come to enough Masters events to get ranked. And for those interested, the first event of our Texas Masters season coming up is going to be Hammerfest. It's a part of Warzone Houston. It's going to be in September the 25th. So if anybody's interested in going to that event, it's Warzone Houston. Just Google search it, and there's an event in there called Hammerfest. There's only about 10 tickets left. So if you want to get it.
So real talk question: what's my current placement in the Master Series?
Nobody's placed at all because the first event is going to be Hammerfest.
Starts tomorrow, I think, right? August 1st is tomorrow.
Yeah, the first event that we will qualify for is the Atomic Tournament.
Coming up in a couple of weeks. Locals will start in August. So the 2022 season is going to start in August with locals, and every major in that calendar year from August to next July is going to count. The Texas Masters Invitational is going to be in July 2022 for this season.
Yeah, they didn't count my championship run last year. They didn't want to count that shit, but that's fine.
And it's I think did you talk about the scaling on the scoring of where the locals are worth half?
The
so
locals
at a local with any local that is usually like 20, 30 or less players, you can score a max of 50 points for the ranking board. And then a GT, if you win a GT, you're going to score 100 points. So coming out and placing in GTs, if you only come out to like 2, 3 GTs, if you score well enough, it's very possible you'll make it into the top 20.
Right.
Gotcha, that's great. What do you, other than like the positive play experience, what else like allows you guys to I guess grow and be consistent, because it takes a lot of effort to run a league. What do you think allows you guys to stay alive, I guess?
So that's multiple things. And for our Age of Sigmar scene, I think one thing that really helps keep it positive and everything is we place a lot of importance on soft scores like painting and sportsmanship and whatnot. So the best overall, whoever's going to win best overall, is going to be combined, like battle points, painting, sports. Those are really going to factor heavily into your overall score. So we like to keep all aspects of the hobby in it. And then another thing is we just have so many people. Texas is huge. There's a lot of people that go into this. So every person's not doing a ton, but there's just enough people doing something that it'll keep it alive.
Yeah, I think there's also another element of, I think outside of Texas, I've seen there's a lot of, not hostility, but almost like an animosity towards other players in your area that are also really good, where you have these small pockets of people kind of click up and play and, share the game and talk about it. Whereas in Texas, you have like everyone talks with each other and everyone's trying to help each other get better and grow. And if you can just get over that initial feeling of like, I need to have an edge in list building to beat other players, like if you just get over that and just try to help everybody grow, everyone gets better. And there's more importance on game knowledge than there is on list building.
Yeah,
really, I think the game knowledge is really like your lifeblood in a competitive game, where you're just trying to make your game knowledge as good as possible, no matter what you play, because then there's just a greater understanding of what's going on in the game and so on and so forth, and there's just less negative experience, and it just kind of goes from there. There's more going on than that, but that's kind of what I see from my perspective.
Yeah, actually thinking about it, just kind of reflecting on my local scene, I think you're right. I think it does take people to want to better everyone, not just themselves, and score those imaginary points.
Right.
Yeah, I think I know just on my perspective, we ran a small GT at the beginning of the year to kind of try to kick this whole thing off. And I think everybody in this community in Texas, I think a large portion of us, for the most part, are invested in the community as much as we are winning. So I think that's what really helps is growing the community and winning are equally important, if not more so. Growing the community and being a positive part of the community is more important than any win that you ever get. Winning's going to come. If you read your books and you pay attention to what's going on in the game, winning's going to come. But if the community's not there, it doesn't matter if you win every game you play if you can't get any games in. So I think that's all of our mentality is just growing this community and keeping it a positive place for every skill level of player. Even if we beat the brake shoes off of somebody, you want to buy them a beer and have a good time with it. Like try to make it an enjoyable experience. Like you said, like the behaviors that cause those negative play experiences, we try to prevent those. And if we see it popping up, Texas is real good about shoving that right out the door. Like,
yeah, and on top of that, a lot of effort's gone into interweaving the cities. It's like there's a Discord for every city for Age of Sigmar, and we're all in all of them talking. And you'll see people from Dallas or Austin like drive 3, 4, 5+ hours to play just in a one-day local event in another city. So we're all talking all the time, and all the cities are traveling for even local events. So it's very close-knit, and it's actually fairly easy to get into, too, at this point. It's growing pretty fast.
Yeah, it's not unheard of for us to have a one-day event with 20 people and 8 or 9 of them be from, a whole other city. So it's great community that we have, and it's just everybody, all the leadership, all the people that are a part of it. I mean, not even just leadership, but from the top down, I think everybody who's involved in this community we just enjoy it, and so we want to see it flourish and grow, especially after as turbulent of a year as we had last year, where everybody stopped playing, and all the naysayers said it was never going to come back, and now look at this. We got tournaments selling out in a few minutes. I mean, it's just a great place to play. I got some friends in California that I've talked to, and I heard you guys got a pretty good community out there. But sorry to hear that you guys aren't really good at the game, though. But
well, I mean, it's true. Just kidding. We're not that good. We're not that good. If I'm, just to toot my own horn here, if I'm the best player from California, there's definitely a problem because I'm the conference champion.
There you go. You've beaten everybody with the mortal wound bulldozer that comes out of deep strike. It definitely makes sense that you would have a lot of success with that list if no one knows what it does. Like there's a key component there of like you need to put something in front of what matters in your army, or I just kill it. Like.
But the three of us, and even Evan, who's not talking, I mean, we're all kind of crazy people as far as we look at everything like as it's dropping, and I mean, we're kind of crazy on the way that we look at the rules and the new things that are coming out. Yeah. We don't necessarily jump on it, but we're not going to be surprised by it.
It's not really a productive outlet, but it's not a destructive one. So it's kind of like a neutral.
Yeah.
And it's better than like self-destructive behavior. So as long as you don't just spend all of your life savings on models, which is a problem.
You just got to be a baller and just buy all the models. That's how you win.
Well, but between all of us, I mean, we have access to play anything we want to. We have a lot of stuff.
Do. That's kind of sad. But
yeah, that's another thing that my local scene kind of fails to do. So I don't have access to like all the other models unless I'm playing, God forbid, Tabletop Simulator. So I think that's definitely a thing that makes our local meta weaker. That's it's a negative.
Yeah, like it's not uncommon for
over and over again instead of adaptations to something.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for a new player to want to come out to an event on a weekend but be like, I only have 1,000 points, and someone's like, I'll bring you a whole army to play. Like, what are you interested in? It's not uncommon for us to do that.
I'm moving to Texas. I don't want to be in California anymore.
So I was gonna say, it's just live in Texas, dude. That's a simple problem. A simple solution to a simple problem.
So,
Move here.
kind of follow-up question. What did you like when you guys first saw the list? When the lists were allowed, what did you guys think? Because I did see, I think 2 or 3 other Stormcast that entered the event, and like when you guys first saw the list, what did you guys think that how that person was going to do? Did you think they were going to be the best Stormcast at the event, or was it just an afterthought? Realistically,
It really was like an afterthought. If I'm gonna be honest, like I thought it was a gimmick, and you didn't have monsters, and I thought you were gonna have trouble scoring. I thought you had a gimmick list that probably win 2 or 3 games, is what I thought initially. But then you wind up you're 4-0, and if they had done real pairings, you would have had to play me in round 5, and I was trying to figure out what the magic trick was. I'm like, how does this guy? How has he won 4 games? I'm like, what am I missing here?
So
But when he's go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, you're good. I don't know why. I feel like unless you're playing Archeon, Kragnos, or something that has like that you can bodyguard and make it, and maybe Giants. Like I feel like monsters are not worth it. Like you just end up losing points for the most part. So
Well, I think what you're
double moving Alarials. It's okay.
Well, with that mentality, I can kind of see what you're saying, because a lot of people it's not new to 3.0. Key in on those monsters and those big hammers and all those important pieces, and they leave out the really important pieces. And you mentioned it earlier when you were talking about your list. No one's been bringing a screen in their army for a long time. This isn't new, but everybody in this conversation has some level of screening that we are playing. Like I'm not going to let 3 units of Annihilators sucker punch my entire army. Jamming people in their deployment zone is what we've been doing for like 2 years. Like we've not been letting you out of your deployment zone since 2019. I mean, I think monsters are a thing. I
think the component that kind of gets lost in translation is that you need durability on that monster. Durability and maneuverability are the 2 key aspects of those monsters, and a lot of monsters don't have those things. So I wouldn't include those monsters, but anything that's fast and durable enough to score all of your battle tactics, especially the ones where monsters score extra on those battle tactics, are going to be very, very valuable going forward. There's not going to be every army doesn't have it, but there's like some stuff that you just can't get off the board, and it's just going to kill your battle line, and it's going to is going to contest objectives, and is just going to be a problem to move. Like Zach had one in his list where he had the Great and Clean one with Endless Gift. It's a good example of something that doesn't have a lot of damage, but has just enough damage to move battle line, or just enough damage to move a small 5-wound hero, and it's fast and durable inside of Nurgle. So I think that is what you're looking for when you're looking for like a scaffolding for a monster choice in an army. If you're going to play through a monster, it needs to have those elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you need to not leave it with its ass hanging out.
Yeah, don't let it get mortal wounded to death. It doesn't have more wound save. Like, it seems simple when you talk about it, but I'm sure it's more complicated when you start to play.
yeah, especially so. I think I've never played in Texas before, other than this. But what did you guys think about the pack and essentially setting up terrain before the battle? What did you guys think about that? How did that affect your games? Because for me, I wanted to be defender every time because I could manipulate and funnel people's pieces the way I wanted to, and it's a couple of reasons why I won a couple games, just because of that. Impassable. Sorry, you're not going to move, and they had to move around stuff or funnel Blood Knights into like a 6-inch area, and protect.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I think it gives a distinct advantage to a player with a higher level of game knowledge. Is going to be able to do exactly what you just described and be able to place the terrain in a way where it's advantageous for them. So, I mean, you can set up both sides exactly the same way, in a way where with you deep striking a large portion of your army in the board. If your opponent had the game knowledge, they could put a bunch of that terrain in the way where it would make it difficult for you to deep strike and then make those charges and things like that. So I'm not a fan of giving, in a tournament setting, having that level of imbalance. I think that's an imbalance I think that's a bad design choice.
So for me, I think we figure we can all pitch in. I thought it was cool. I actually enjoyed it. It added like another like strategic element, and I'm all about adding those kind of elements. I'm like addicted to that kind of stuff. The only issue I had was depending on the game, you only have so much time in a round, and it just felt like sometimes, depending on how we were talking or whatever, it could. I was tracking it between all of our guys' games, and it usually took between 5 and one time somebody said it took him 16 minutes, and it usually took between there. If you have longer rounds, I think it's good, but sometimes it might just eat too much time. It could also be because the addition's new, so I don't know. It's something to look out for going forward.
Yeah, I like the idea of having the terrain. The maps had terrain spots pre-selected, so some of the terrain pieces didn't fit in those slots. So you had like really long impassable walls, which I think when you're going to play that kind of a pack is going to create an issue because you're balancing a pack based on terrain placement and you're locking players into terrain placement, and then you have this obtuse terrain piece that doesn't fit there, and you allow people some play as to where they can actually put the terrain. I like the idea of locking terrain on boards and having your TOs vet the boards before every round, and then rolling the dice to select what those terrain pieces do. It's kind of an in-between because I don't know if I like the idea of the terrain being manipulated every single battle round, but I like the idea of assigning the rules to them because I think that still keeps that it still keeps the spirit of that gameplay there, where you get to there's that layer of strategy there still, and it also speeds up the process of having the terrain already placed. So I think I'd be willing to try that out. I'm not sure if I like moving the terrain around every battle round.
So what? How does I guess a GT pack differ from the one we had from a Texan one?
So with regards to terrain, one thing that's if you come to our events that you're going to find wild. So your event is probably symptomatic of all ITC events where every table had the same exact pieces of terrain. So you could do those terrain placements cookie cutter, and it would work for every board. Something about Texas terrain is so how it works with the Texas Master Series. One of the big original reasons it came about was everybody needed terrain and tables, and we didn't have a big single source. Every city had like a few. So one of the reasons Texas Masters originally got started was, hey, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, we're going to run an event. Do your clubs have extra terrain and tables we could use? And all the other cities would bring down all the terrain and tables, and that would set up the event. And what that ends up doing is because it's a lot of clubs terrain and it's a lot of people's personal terrain that you'll see at Texas events. Every table is usually themed, and it's got wildly different terrain on each board. Like there's one board that's like a huge Egyptian like monolith, like with like pyramids and pillars, and there's some with like mountains.
I like that board.
Yeah, and there's there's a bunch of really cool themed ones. So that's one thing that you'll see different is you can't really do a terrain map with this because every table is completely different. And so what ends up happening at a Texas event is pre-event, the TOs will set up the terrain, and usually in the packet they'll say, hey, if the terrain how it is doesn't work in a certain battle round for objectives, just nudge it to where you agree it works, and if there's an issue, call TO over, he'll move it over for you.
Gotcha.
You just show up to a table and it's set, and if it needs adjustment, you either agree or your TO comes over and fixes it for you.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
In the past, there has been a lot of like taking the actual missions from the sources like the core rulebook and the GHB, and using that as a scaffolding to make modifications based on the tournament. And a lot of the other cities have added flavor to their mission pack by adding scoring rules or modifying objectives or doing little small things to just kind of put a spin on the packet rather than just play the generic stuff. To mixed effect, there's been good and bad that has come from that, but it's another thing is like we just aren't like there isn't like we're not stringent on those rules, like where there's like a little bit of play, and we're just trying to look for a better gameplay experience. I think a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're putting the emphasis more on the experience versus by the letter of the law of
Yeah.
the book.
And it's not all about keeping the playing field super even. Like that was one good thing about the LSO terrain was every table, you get to the table, you knew what terrain's going to be there, you knew how it was going to impact your game. One thing in the Masters is we that's not what it's about. It was just more about, hey, show up, have fun at your table. The terrain's going to be interesting. We'll guarantee you that. We don't know how it's going to affect your game, but it's going to be interesting.
It's very immersive. Like everyone really puts a lot of effort into painting terrain, and I think that's a big part of the events. Or like you said, is these beautiful tables set up, and like you said, that chick with the big boobs, and this like we just put a lot of effort into the hobby section of it, and that's part like painting the terrain and setting up a beautiful table is as much of the hobby as putting two really nice armies on there. So it's very immersive when you're playing, where you look across the table and you see, Archaon fighting, four mega gargants in a mushroom forest. It's pretty cool, pretty immersive, and gives it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I can definitely see people wanting to go to events where it's more cinematic. But continuing about the pack and the TO, what was your guys' experience with the TOs? However they interacted with you. I've known Scott and Tom. They're both from California, so I kind of already knew how they were gonna behave. But I just kind of wanted to see how you guys felt about it, good or bad. They're always open up to feedback and changing up their style. So I just wanted to see what your guys' thoughts on their rulings or interactions with you guys were.
I thought that they did a great job running the event, especially considering the timing of the event, right? With a brand new edition, having to digest a bunch of new rules, and having to travel to, another state to run the event. I thought that all things considered, a lot of us thought the event was going to be a shit show, and it wasn't. It was actually like a really fun event and really well ran. And the packet had a lot of interesting things about it that I'm going to take a hard look at. I'm going to be running some GTs later in the year. I'm going to take a hard look at that packet and see what I could take from it. One thing that could be improved upon, I think, is that the tournaments weren't paired very well. Like our battle rounds were just randomly paired instead of by Swiss pairings, which is what we're all kind of more comfortable and familiar with, and I think leads to a better experience. And then also the separation that you could create for yourself in points kind of created a weird dynamic too, where you could score so many points that you could hop over people in the next win bracket as far as scoring, but then it wasn't reading that. So that, along with the weird pairings, created some confusion. Kind of like the last round, we all kind of thought we were going to play a certain opponent, and then it just randomly paired and created this weird dynamic right as the round started. So that's one thing that I think could be better, but I think they know that too. So
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get to go, and I had to drop at the last minute, but I know leading up to it, Scott and those guys were easy to communicate with. I got them on Facebook. I mean, in my experience outside looking in, it seemed like they had their ducks in a row and had no problem answering any questions or anything leading up to it. So that was awesome that they were available, especially something as easy as Facebook Messenger as a way to communicate in real time versus sending an email and waiting for an email. And, because as someone who's ran a GT in the past, email is really difficult to handle those things through because I might forget to check my email for a day and then go back and then there I got 50 questions in there and this person's been waiting on it. And I've been on both ends of that. And I think the way they did things was pretty good. I mean, I had to drop at the last minute, didn't get to see how it worked out firsthand, but at least leading up to it, it was pretty awesome.
yeah, the communication was really strong. That's probably one of the big strengths to take away from. And then also something else that I just thought about was the tables were randomly paired too, which I think creates it just creates more work for you because you have to track down, your top tables, and they're all over the place, rather than just have them lined up to where you can kind of where your players are.
It was just a familiarization with best coast
Right.
pairings, right? Is that what
Yeah,
it
like
was?
1 and 2 are playing at table 1, 3 and 4 are
Yeah,
playing at table 2.
it's a little thing
Yeah.
that you got to remember to click, or it won't pair up ranked
Yeah.
tables.
Yeah, I think what they try to do is make sure, like, like the same people playing on the same table over and over again. I think they try to avoid that, but it wasn't. There's definitely a little bit of mistakes, but I think they purposely chose to do that so we don't have Zach at top table every day for 2 days. So
If I didn't have to drop, it wouldn't have been an issue. I'd have knocked his
That's
ass
true.
down to 33. What he did.
So they kind of covered most of it, but I'll just add on that Scott especially, but both of them were very responsive. I felt like I was pestering them a lot with questions, but he was always cheerful and on top of it. Every time he needed to make a rule, they needed to make a ruling. They came over to the table, made a real quick, easy ruling. My experience was very good. I really enjoyed how they TO'd, and definitely would attend an event they were TOing again.
Yeah, absolutely.
would you label their TOing as more proactive or a more passive approach?
What do you mean? Could you explain what you
So
mean by
passive
both those
is
things?
like, here's an example, right? Let's say there's 2 players and they both forgot to move the objective on the vice on turn 4, and if proactive would be like, you guys forgot to do that, do it now, and then passive would be more like, they're doing it wrong, but let the game continue.
Oh,
Okay.
I see what you're saying. So would they interject themselves in a game when they weren't being asked for?
Correct.
So I
And is
I
that
never-
a bad thing or a positive, or a bad or a positive thing, right?
right. I usually I'd say it's probably better to be proactive if you see something wrong going on in your TO. But I didn't have an experience either way with it, so I can't speak to it with them. So I don't know.
I think passive is the way to be, especially in that kind of scenario, because you don't necessarily know how long that particular thing has been going wrong, and you don't know what kind of effect that's going to have when you interject yourself moving forward. Is it going to affect one player negatively or positively? At that point, you just kind of wait for them to bring it up to you, and then figure it out from there.
It's interesting, right? I think that you need to be very aware of both of the players' body language in that situation.
Yeah.
Because if there's one player that's like that obviously not enjoying the game, and like that's happening, then you probably need to correct what's happening on the table. But if like both players are having a good time, I don't know. It depends, right? Like if it's the top 5 to 10 tables or so, I think that you want to have clean games of Age of Sigmar. But if you have 2 people that are enjoying themselves and they're, on table 32, like I don't know if there's much value in correcting what's going on. Like you kind of just want to let them do their thing. So I think it's really situational.
But when you are called over, I think you have to take a very strong approach to the rules, and
So,
because I've been in that situation where I have called over a TO in a major event and had him be very passive about his ruling, and at that point you just kind of quit on the day. Like as a competitive player, I've had it where I call a TO over where something's going wrong, and they just are like, I don't know, I don't think that's like, and then they just kind of walk away and leave the game state exactly where it was when they got there. And if you're a TO and you show up and something is wrong and you leave that table with it in the same game state that it was when you walked up to it, you're making a mistake. And I don't know that I didn't hear anything about anything like that happening up there.
I didn't either. I didn't have any. I actually didn't need to call the TOs over in any of my games. We were able to resolve, and I think I had one thing pop up, and it was a spell range issue in my 5th game, and we resolved it at the table. I usually don't need a TO to come over and help me resolve any issues because I'm pretty good at reading the rules. But sometimes people need that. They need that authority figure to be there and like actually get their opponent to like understand what's happening in the interaction, right? It's usually just when two people don't understand the language that each other are trying to use. That's what creates that conflict and abrasiveness. And if you need a mediator to just help those two people understand what's going on the table, then that's what the TO needs to be.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. I want to say that, thanks again to Tom and Scott for hosting the event, and hopefully the big dogs from Texas oversee the next year's event so they can play. And, is that a possibility?
Yeah, we're discussing it, but there's nothing set in stone. Would be awesome that they came down and played, because it's always fun to have people come from out of state, because that is really what gives your events like that extra umph, if that makes sense. There's a better way to explain that, but it gives you more luster to an event when you're not just playing the same people that you play normally.
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like a bigger event, even if it's not players wise. If you just have a bunch of people that travel for it, it makes it feel like it matters more.
And it's definitely a conversation that we're having. So we're definitely, we're hoping that that's where we go, where we can host you guys. You guys come in town, and like you said, Scott and those guys get to come in and play, and we're the ones, running the event and allowing you guys to come in and to our state, and we show you a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was other than Tom, who's unfortunately Welsh, but there was another foreign guy in there, right? I think he was French or something, or is he local to Texas?
Was Dimitri?
Oh,
Was Dimitri there?
Dimitri,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
he's Russian or something.
Hashard.
Ukrainian.
He's our local transplant. He's a really good guy. He paints really well, great sportsman, and he's done well in the past for in the Texas Masters series too. Really good all around player. And he's always going to our events. Any of the Texas Masters stuff he usually shows up for.
So the player who took best painted, is he a local to Texas?
Was that Kit?
Yeah, Kid with
yeah.
the competition level Soul Blight list. Yeah, that's Kit. The running joke is that who's going to get second place, because Kit just wins every painting competition that's ever attached to any of our events. So much so that they've, I think, considered banning him from paint awards or making him be the judge, because there's that much of a gap.
Or like they've also talked about like giving him his own award and then just doing paint for everybody else.
Here's your award. Like,
It's
just
the
help us judge
Rice Award.
paint. Because there's people that like to pretend that, well, I like this more, and art is subjective. But like, okay, like, cool, dude. If you really want to judge painting, like, Kit is head and shoulders above everybody else in Texas, whether you like it or not. Like, and there's not really a discussion to have about it, unless you just want to be obtuse. But yeah, this Kit, he could probably win Golden Demons if he wanted to. Like,
So he does take commissions, because most Stormcast are ugly.
yeah, I don't know. He's probably got to pay him a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. You like big baller bucks, like.
Oh, I'm a big baller, bro.
Oh, well, then maybe, like, just talk to him and be like, hey, I'll give you, like, a Honda Civic if you paint my Stormcat.
It's got VTEC. It's got VTEC and NOS.
Yeah. There you go, dude. Yeah, this Kit. So, any other questions? I know you've got, like, a timeline and stuff, dude. Do you want to plug stuff? You want to tell us all about your stuff?
Yeah, so if you guys want to go smash baby seals in California, we have the Old Town Throwdown, where you're hosting it at a casino. It's going to be, I think, the 15th or 16th of August. If you guys come down, it'll be a good time. I'll get you drunk the first day.
Might actually be able to win then.
Yeah, it'd be great. There's going to be, I think, there's, not that you guys are super interested in it, but there's some, some pretty quote unquote heavy hitters coming in from, from the East Coast. And I think the Fire Slayers player
On
that
the
was
East
there.
Coast, those players that I went to over there and beat all those
Yeah.
guys, like the Rage of Sigmar guys
Yeah, those guys that pretend
that,
that are good.
that I
Um,
dragged around ACO, and
Yeah, but the Fire Slayers player is going to be there, I believe, and he's he does pretty well most of the time. So
like on a
You're
world,
supposed to be saying things to make me want to go.
yeah, like some
Yeah.
kind of worlds team, like they call themselves a worlds team. That's cute.
I mean, I'm not trying to drag anyone, I'm not trying to stir the pot that much, but like I'm kind of new to the
by all
worldwide
means,
Sigmar.
means.
What can you guys explain that to me? The worlds of Sigmar or whatever. What is that? I don't know.
It's like 5 dudes that just pay for themselves to travel to Europe and get beat by Europeans. As far as I could tell, like they pay like $6,000 or $7,000 each to go get like skull drugged by Europe. Like so, I mean that's
just a bunch
cool,
of
I guess.
jabronis.
Yeah, I mean that's cool, I guess, right?
Oh, okay. Again, I don't know. I don't pay it
They
to
can
like.
come to. They can drive to Texas and see that for free.
No, but I'm sure they're all very nice people and.
I had a lot of them. I
I
played
would
the
love to
coach.
hang out with
I played the
whoever.
coach at ACO. Remember, I played with
Yeah,
Noah.
oh yeah, he knew his shit, right?
Yeah, he knew his stuff, but I mean,
G1.
didn't keep me from banging on his shoulder blades.
But yeah, then you got the like as advertised on the world famous Big Man Tyrone YouTube channel.
Yeah. I wrote and produced my very first YouTube video. If you guys Google Old Town Throwdown, Big Man Tyrone, just a plug. Give it a thumbs up. It'll be great. Before I go on the casting couch and try to get a movie part out here in Hollywood for myself.
There you go. Super easy. Well, thanks so much for coming on, dude. It's always awesome to have people from out of state come in and hang out and just establish those connections, right? And we look forward to you coming out to a lot of our tournaments in the future, and maybe we'll put a squad together for California. Perhaps.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm planning to go out there again. One of my lady friends likes to go to Texas and loves Austin's
Dude, he's a
nightlife.
big baller and's got the ladies, dude. And no wonder you're no good at Age of Sigmar. You've got all these ladies and money lying around.
You're bringing her from California to Texas, and you're taking her to basically Little California.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin, there's one thing that Austin does really well, and it's pretend to be California. So I guess they like I'm
Yeah, well, they suck just as much as you do at Age of Sigmar too, so it makes sense.
This is the
again,
wrong
thanks
podcast
for
for not
inviting
stirring
me.
the pot.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I had a great time. I will be out to Texas again. Don't expect me to do as well because I like to bring lists that are just kind of random and play that slot machine, get my sixes, and do damage. That's kind of the list that I like to play.
You play Feck, dude. That's your
play
army.
Terrorgeist.
Yeah,
But I like to be the good guys.
They are the good guys, dude. Everyone else is the bad guys. Have you
The
not read
good guy is a matter of opinion. I think Archeon's the good guy. Like
They literally have a story in the Feck book about that, where they're the good guys, and it's told from their perspective, and they think they're like Empire people, and they're charging down at Empire people, and the Empire people are like, "Wow, there's Feck," and they all die.
Yeah, but if you're gold and blue, you're automatically the good guy. That's the rules.
That's
So
big true.
yeah.
Big
So
true.
thanks again, guys. I gotta go, but I'll see you guys soon.
Good talking to you again.
Dude. See ya. And there were 4.
Yeah, Evan, did we mess your camera thing up again?
Of course we did.
yeah, what do you know?
No,
I
you're
mean,
good.
Easiest game
Texas
of
is
my
good,
life.
Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. What else are we gonna talk about?
Well, y'all got games to talk about. Like,
Stuff. We're gonna talk about the game that mattered. Just our game.
Yeah, we can.
How we like timed the game out. It was super close until like round 3, and then we ran out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Boo.
Unfortunate. I'd like to play that one out. But
Yeah. I think you still win.
it would have been
Because
really close, though.
You had board, but you couldn't kill Alario, and Alario was
Yeah.
going to kill you. So
Right. It came down to whether I was going to be able to live long enough to just like close it out.
I think if we play it out, the difference would have been me not killing that mana core.
Yeah,
In
that was
hindsight.
big for
Yeah.
if we were going to play it out. That was so.
Yeah.
Brian, he charges Alarial into my mana core.
Mm.
Gets 4 wounds through, and it was like -2, right?
Yeah.
And I had +1, so it was 4 or 5 ups. I had 10 he had done 2 mortals on the charge, so I had 10 wounds left. If he gets 2 through, I die. And I was like, you know what? I'll just roll it for the fuck of it. Rolled it, all 4 or 5 ups.
Tragic. Yeah.
I've been there.
Blood
I've
armor.
been there when Zach gets what he needs, like that that time when I was going to kill your Catacross. And
Yeah. Well, he's only there
7
because he
out of
rolled a 5+ and got his
Yeah.
tree too. So I guess that was
7
just
of
supposed to lose.
11 6-ups, I believe you made out of
It was
that,
a lot,
that one
yeah.
team. Yeah.
I mean, it's just all arbitrary, right? Like it was enough to make him win, which is what he's going to roll every time. So, like, easy.
Easy. Just roll good.
It's so good. Like,
Yeah,
All you have to
easy.
do to be good, just roll good.
Easy.
like I mean, like it's to the point where we're pushing each other a lot, and like he's talking about like how competitive the group is. It's just that we're always playing each other, so we don't have games where there's. Well, I don't. You guys may have some real easy ones where you bang on us for a little bit, but I don't have an easy game when I play against any of our group. So
Yeah, no, that's something about that Nurgle list is I could blow like one thing up a turn, but almost every game with that Nurgle list is very different from Fire Slayers and KO. Like every game was like I was dragging out to like 5. Like none of them were close except for the Noe game because of the whole screening thing.
Yeah.
Every other game I went to time. Like sometimes I got to round 5, sometimes I didn't. But I was in it usually the whole time trying to fight it out.
Pumped leading up to it. I thought the list that we had put together with the Archaon list, I still feel like it would have done some work there.
It would have done work. That Archaon was disgusting.
Yeah, it's just, things happen. I had to drop at the last minute, so I'm glad you guys had a lot of fun. It looks like the boys did well, so.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people.
Yeah, dude, fucking TJ got 5th, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I was more excited about that than like everything else because he's been on that 3-2 hump for like since the beginning of time. Him and Jesus going 3-2 together since like forever ago.
Well, that was kind of a plus side that I felt like it was good for TJ that I didn't show up because my Archaon would have banged on those targets.
He just would have beat everybody at the tournament.
I'm just messing with him because he's in chat.
You only play 5 games, dude. But yeah, he's 5th. That was super awesome. 4-1.
It is awesome.
Yeah. I was super excited about all our guys because we had like 9 people playing singles, and the worst we did that anybody in the group did was 3-2. And even Matt, his first ever GT playing Sylvaneth went 3-2.
That's awesome,
dude.
So that's real awesome.
He got his Alarial blown to pieces by Kragnos, though.
Yeah, she took 30 mortals from a Kragnos.
Hold that L.
Yeah.
Hold that L. He won that game, but hold that L. You can't let Alario get you can't let the girl get drugged through the mud like that.
As hard as she is to kill,
you just
like
gotta let
Kragnos
just like bang on them cheeks, like bang, 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 dude. Like that's a loss. Like you can't call that a win.
The only thighs though in the elf world that can handle that Kragnos D.
Yeah, dude. She couldn't. She tried for what I can tell. 30 mortal wounds. 30 fucking mortal wounds. Yeah, I think you got her, dude. What else? We won that doubles thing. That was easy. Like didn't even try. Like at this point, like I think we just like are we still gonna even entertain the idea of playing doubles anymore? Like I feel like it's just like you know what? Free wins feel real good. Like, it's fun to win. So maybe we'll just keep getting our free wins. They didn't give us a trophy though. So we're gonna fucking buy a trophy because we won that shit. Suck my dick. Suck my dick, LSO staff. You can't fucking not give me a trophy. I'm gonna make one. My trophy. I want a trophy. I'm making one.
Did you want to tell people about our internal bet going up to 100 wins?
Oh yeah, so we're 50-6 between the two of us, and we're gonna get to 100 wins because we just beat everybody.
Before 10 losses.
They can't make us play each other 4 more times before we get to 100 wins, right? Like, it's almost like a fake loss. Like, we really are, 49-5? I guess realistically what it is. You can't count the losses that we give each other. So, like, whatever, easy, 50-6. Got to play in more doubles tournaments so we can inflate that number some more. What else? What else to talk about? Other kind of nonsensical shit.
Well, there's supposed to be another FAQ tomorrow. You guys have heard anything about this?
That's the FAQ that still hasn't gotten here. I'm sure it'll be a bunch of meaningless bullshit and like maybe 2 or 3 things that actually matter.
Yeah, apparently they're gonna fix OBR, the OBR problem. How you
Fix? You mean like when I took my dog to the vet, like that kind of fix?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, all this. I think they already did that.
Yeah.
They already neutered them. Like,
Yeah, like okay, fix. Haha, that's cool.
no, I think it's just the RDP. I think through wording they have created a situation where RDP is and isn't treated like every other command ability in the game. But then it's handcuffed, to one per turn, or one iteration of each one per turn. I think they're going to open that back up where they can just do whatever they want with their relentless discipline stuff. I don't think those particular command abilities are going to fall under the same rules as normal command abilities.
Yeah, I think that'll be really good because right now I was building lists for OBR and it really felt hard to take Crag or Catacross because you just didn't need that RDP. You couldn't use it.
No.
And the points were helpful. I'd like to see because I really I don't want to play OBR without Catacross. It's too good of a model to me. So I
monster
super down.
Why is he not a monster?
Yeah, that too.
Because he's 3'4". But that's there.
No, dude, he's like 6'8", dude. He could play for
standing on that rock.
Yeah, he could play for the Rockets. He could get some power forward action. The other dudes are like 3 foot tall. But yeah, it's like lame that he's not good in third. It's like super lame because that's one of the best models in the game, I think, in my opinion.
I agree. It's like making me not want to play my OBR, and I don't like that situation.
Mm-hmm. It's weird.
Well,
You almost wish that they were merged into Soulblight. Like they feel like they should be a subfaction in Soulblight. They doesn't feel like a book that has enough in it to operate on its own.
Yeah, well, now that Nagash in the lore is gone, and it's like they should kind of all be able to merge together. They don't have Nagash telling them what to do anymore. Seems like they would do what they would need to do to band together to create a more advantageous situation for all of them. But it's the time of the vamps, dude. The vampires aren't taking any allies. We don't want no friend. We don't need them.
Super good, yeah. What else?
Evan, how did your games with trolls go? Everyone wants to hear about trolls all the time.
Talk.
They did fine.
I think he walked away. Oh, he's here. They did fine.
Fine. 3-2.
Everybody I ever talk to that sees like that list in an event always want to know how it does. Like people are always interested in the trolls.
Yeah, it was interesting. People were I did okay. I did very similar to how we did at the other GT earlier this year. But everyone kept complimenting my unbuilt, unfinished spider the entire fucking time. And it pissed me off to no end because it was like the least effort that I put into something.
You just put Halloween decorations all over it.
Yeah, but everyone was just like, "Dude, I love your spider that you're not even playing, and it's sitting there in your case."
Yeah, the army that you put on the table looks like shit. But you should have put those spiders on the table.
Yeah, but those Rippus Snarl Fangs and doubles that's what carried me.
Dude, yeah, for real, MVP.
That's 60 points ever. Yeah.
A new tech, dude. Snarl Fangs. That's what's gonna win.
The trolls did fine.
Tournament.
The 3 opponents I won against, I 2-turned them, and then I got 2-turned against the 2 opponents that beat me. So
that's trolls. I mean, that sounds like how they would play.
Yeah, I lost to Suns and Soulblight, which is exactly what I thought would happen.
It feels weird that trolls only count as one model for objectives.
Yeah, they right now they're they're kind of like in the worst spot, right? I mean, they're 4 wounds, so they
I
don't
think
count as
there
2.
needs to be a heavy infantry tag.
Yeah,
And
they
heavy infantry counts as X models, maybe 3,
well,
maybe 3 models per.
and you're seeing it in the new Stormcast rules where they have it where they count as extra models.
Only Stormcast.
And
Fucking
then
trolls, Evan.
well,
They should also make that heavy infantry not subject to the new coherency.
right,
Yes.
yeah, because now I'm running them in 6 blocks, so they're
Indeed.
also in the coherency, and they're not elite, so I can't issue redeploys and shit like that.
If you're bigger than a 32 millimeter, you shouldn't have coherency rules. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
So right now they're kind of like in a really awkward spot where the
Just make
armies
it heavy infantry and let ogre models count as double, so they count as 6 each. That'd be dope.
But yeah, they did fine. Troll Hag just never. She only died once the entire tournament.
See, we should just be the people that make the game. We would fix all the problems.
Get that $20,000 a year.
Just fix them
Write
all,
some
dude.
rules.
Yeah, the 27. The 27. Don't leave out that 7. $27 whole $1,000 a year to write rules. No wonder the fucking rules suck.
Yeah, you can't really have any.
That's what they pay rules writers, 27 grand.
Yeah,
That was the
well,
rumor.
The little gremlins that, or the little underlings that actually write the rules get that, and then fucking Jervis gets probably like 150K to go fucking take a shit on work time, and leave at fucking 12:30 in the afternoon.
And
delegate all his responsibilities.
Yeah,
Jerk his
respond to
dick about the
FAQs.
fucking Bastiladon that he came up
Yeah, I
with.
meant
Look at
that
this
thing
one
was-
thing I made. It's so good. Oh yeah, you think it's fucking worded wrong? Suck my dick. Here's an FAQ. Fucking, this is how I meant it. It's the best thing ever. And that's probably the one thing he wrote. And then he's like, I retire. That's a good one to retire on. That's like John Elway winning 2 Super Bowls and just fucking deucing out. It's like similar level of fucking retirement there, Jervis.
Yeah. He wrote the Lumineth book and the Bastiladon War Scroll, and that's it.
Yeah. He's like, haha, dude, what a joke that is. Like all of that, just all of it together, just a great joke, very funny. My games were cool. The Zach game was close. And then my other 4 opponents, great people, but they all made like huge mistakes, like turn 1 or 2 that led to the game almost being resolved in a turn.
Tell them about the Maw Crusher.
Oh yeah, that guy. Dude. So that dude's name's DJ. I'll always remember this guy's name. Awesome guy. A lot of fun to play. I made him go first and pillbox my Iron Drakes, and I made him go. And then he's like, so I use Finest Hour on my Maw Crusher. I'm like, oh, he's gonna do it. And he's like, I use Finest Hour on my Maw Crusher, and I'm picking Conquest, and I'm picking your objective. I'm like, all right, well, have at it. He charged the pillbox, and the Iron Drakes killed his Maw Crusher on turn 1.
On his turn. With the Unleash Hell.
Yeah, on Unleash Hell killed his Maw Crusher. And he's like, I think I lost. I'm like, I think you lost too.
He did a very similar thing to us in the doubles.
Yeah,
You lost right
this
when you
dope,
declared
dude.
my
I was
objective.
like, damn, he's going for it, and then he went for it. That was my game 4.
Hey, he
that
called
was
his
my
shot.
game
Like,
4, yeah. He's just like, watch Daddy spin it, dude. He just went in and fucking threw an interception right to the other team.
You'll enjoy this, Brian. I had an opponent make a similar mistake when I played that Worlds guy. He was playing Fire Slayers, and I know that army pretty well. And he moved his first. So first of all, I'll say those 3 Varangard killed all 30 Hearthguard. So you know something went catastrophically wrong in that game.
Yeah, real bad.
But I moved the Plague Bearers onto the objective that those Hearthguard were protecting. And he's like, okay, I'm going to redeploy so that you don't steal my objective. I'm like, okay, that's fine. He redeploys, rolls a 6, moves all 6 inches, which moves him out of his Fight First bubble and out of his Feel No Pain bubble. And I saw that, and I was like, oh. So the Vanguard moved over there, killed the whole brick in one fight. And I was like, yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then they killed all of the Earthguard. It was wild.
And when that was just it. Did I imagine he quit at that point? Did he call it?
No, he didn't, because he had Go Trek, but I had him half move, half charge from the Great and Clean one. So Go Trek was just spinning out in the middle, not doing anything, while the Vanguard cleaned up. But he thought it was a game until the very end.
I actually have a story too. Now that I think about it. Thank you. My third game, I fought Beast of Chaos, and he picked to the Spearhead, and to put all have two models or two units wholly within my territory, and I knew he was gonna deep strike, so I set it up in a way where he couldn't put anything on my side, and I thought he saw me do it, and then he goes to do it. We get to the end of the movement phase. He's like, all right, I'm gonna drop that, and he didn't. At that point, he had nothing on my side. He couldn't make. He had none of his normal stuff. He was just hoping to grab it with the deep strike. And then he went to measure it on literally everywhere he could. He's like, I don't think I can put him anywhere. I'm like, I don't think you can either. And then so he lost the spearhead right from the beginning. And then his archers had to be deployed on his side in the back, and they never came over to my side again.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I have a pro tip. So, Iron Drakes might be in the game now. Maybe there might be some Iron Drakes. So, if you're playing against Iron Drakes, you should maybe screen the things in your army that make your army work. Maybe put them 7 inches away from something in your army that doesn't matter, so I can't kill that thing that makes your army work on turn 1. Maybe.
That's
But
the LDR player.
if you don't, that was all 4 of my opponents. The other 3 besides the one who drove his Maw Crusher into the Iron Drakes. But if you don't want to
So he
screen
didn't
the
fall
things
for
in
it.
your army that make your army work, people with Iron Drakes will be happy to kill that thing.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Brian, did he tell you about the OBR guy?
I think he did. I think he got his Arkin right off the bat.
Dude, so I love you, Jonathan. I love you. Jonathan Slesius. I played against him twice now. He's a great opponent. Great fun to talk to before and after the game. We had a great game. Right? But you cannot leave your Harvester and Arkin on the back end of your army unscreened against Iron Drakes. You don't want to lose Arkin and your Harvester on turn 1. It's bad if you do that. Just so you know. And the Phoenix Guard guy did it too. He left his Hurricanums on the back end. You need your Hurricanums to kill Alariel. Don't let me kill them on turn 1. He let me do it. So
well, that's a huge part of. I mean, we've said it for years now that deployment is one of the hardest parts of the game to master. When people just have a way that they deploy, and they do that every single time, and until someone takes advantage of it, they don't know to change it. And it just maybe after their games with you, maybe they don't let Iron Drakes do that to them again. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
make it hard.
Well, you got to know the threat ranges. You got to know, just
that's the big thing. Just
with
they have to
KO,
come in. They have to come down 9 inches away. So if you just keep stuff 7 inches off of your screen, I can't get range. I can't range that stuff. So other than the torpedoes, but it's just the screening mistakes is a big one that I saw a lot happening throughout the tournament in a bunch of games. Is just screening mistakes. Screening is going to be a lot more important in 3rd edition, I think. Among a host of other things, screening's always been important, but will also be important in 3.0.
Did you want to talk about? You had kind of talked about things you thought were important in 3.0. Did you want to talk about after playing a tournament, the things you think of that changed importance in your mind?
Yeah. So conventional damage. Not as important anymore. What I mean by conventional damage is stuff that does damage with a rend. I don't think that it's as valuable or as applicable as it was in 2.0. So you shouldn't value it in the same way that it was valued in 2.0. And as a result, anything that is very durable against conventional damage is very valuable. So anything with a 3+ that you can stack a bunch of bonuses on is going to be very good in 3.0 because you can kind of just drive that platform around with a bunch of bonuses on it and be damage immune against conventional damage. And then along the same line of thought as those things is things that can put out a lot of mortal wounds all at one time in one place is going to be strong too. Like I think that ogres have other problems outside of that, but that component of ogres will make them strong in certain matchups. Lumineth will be strong when played correctly. There's a few other things like Maggotkin. I think was a big reason why you had so much success with Maggotkin is because you could direct a bunch of mortal wounds in one spot, fairly reliably, not super reliable, but you could always count on damage in one spot, which is important because you need to move things off of objectives to take them in this edition, I think. So being able to move things that are durable and then just being durable is going to be more important than it was in 2.0, which was just more of a kill game at the end of it. Like very much so at the high end of play, like you were just playing a kill game, and I don't think it's that anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed that big time. Like my Marauders don't do what they used to do.
No.
Right.
Marauders are
Marauders
reliably.
without mortals. I don't like they'll kill chaff and stuff, but I don't know that you're killing anything you want to kill anymore with Marauders.
No,
if you're
I've
playing
seen it.
in Nurgle.
I agree. That's the tips you get when you stay 2 hours into the video. Everyone's left, right? Or no? 6 people, you 6. You'll get the secret knowledge, dude.
Yeah, I've watched my Marauders bounce. Like I put almost 48 wounds into Arkin and didn't kill him. Took him down to 1 wound, and he just flew away and healed back to full.
Yeah. Stuff
Like
that's
the-
on a 3+ gonna be like a problem.
Yeah. I played a game against Ryan today. He had a Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, Bordrai, and Laukovai all charge my unit of 3 Empty Throne Zinchmarked Varangard with +3 to save. And for 3 turns, all 3 of those monsters fought 1 3-man and didn't kill them.
97% damage mitigation, in case y'all were wondering. 2+
It's
rerolling,
insane.
97%.
And all of that
damage.
stuff has like Ren 2 or better, or like Ren 1, Ren 2.
Doesn't matter.
And I just don't give a shit. Like,
I
Nope,
mean,
you're
if you
still
have
sitting at a
Ren
2+ rerolling 1
4,
save.
you have Ren 4, you can make them like a 3+. That's cool, I guess. Maybe
rerolling
they
ones.
fail. Maybe they fail.
Mhm.
Maybe I roll some 2s. But yeah, like
You're
there's a
not
lot
going to roll
of-
enough to lose.
there's
You're
a lot
not.
of instances of that in the game, like of just being able to get very, very durable in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, build your list to get around that, or build your list to be tanky in one spot, and hope that you're tanky enough to live. And if you can't kill giants, you're gonna fucking lose to them. So, have something in your army that can kill giants, because that's gonna be a big part of the meta going forward. I think.
Yeah.
Is that you're gonna have to have an army that can at least like move a giant or 2. Like if you're not building your army in a way that allows you to at least kill a giant in a like 1 giant in a turn if he gets out on his own and isolated, then you're probably gonna have a hard time beating giants because of the way they score objectives.
Well,
the
what
way
what consistently does bring them down now? Like, I mean,
Just in mass attacks is the best way to do
30
it.
Iron
but-
Drakes.
Yeah, dude.
This,
like,
the
they're
traditional
pretty good.
damage units will still do it because they're 4+ base, not a 3+ base.
mhm.
Anything that can live in them, like those Empty Throne, Varangard, Arcount, anything that can live in a fight, you'll eventually kill them because they're not going to kill you in those situations.
I think Marauder still can do that fight pretty well.
And
Just-
something that we saw a lot of at LSO that you're probably going to see a lot of until it gets adjusted is there's going to be a lot of Gotreks around. And
Yeah.
Gotreks slaps giants.
You gotta deal
And
with
Crag
Gotrek
knows.
slaps
He's a
everything.
motherfucker too. Like he's just gonna run to the center board, and you can like just redeploy. Like I've got plans on how to deal with him, and it doesn't involve killing him, and it's gonna be funny when the person with the go trick realizes what's happening. It's gonna be funny. I'm excited for it. But if you can't do a bunch of single damage, if you can't do a bunch of instances of damage, and what I mean by that is like if you can't do 50 wounds to him, or if you can't do 25 mortal wounds to him, he's just going to live through it because he reduces all the damage to 1. So if you don't have that in your army and you're playing against a Gotrek, you need to have maneuverability because he's just going to drive that Gotrek into you if you don't, and you can't kill him if you don't have the damage.
Also, Kragnos is going to be a check against Gargants, especially if he gets something from
He's
Worklands.
pretty dope. He's pretty dope. Double moving, that would be like disgusting. I don't know if he's going to get that. If I had to guess, I don't think he's going to get all the keywords.
I don't
Yeah,
think so either.
I doubt he does.
Yes. Yeah, I think he'll get like the big wall bonuses, but I don't think he'll be able to like take their
Double move and
mighty
fly.
destroyers and all that. I think he'll benefit from the allegiance ability of big wall. Is what I would guess. Which will
That'd
still
be
be
my
really
guess,
strong.
too.
I mean, still be really good.
Mm-hmm.
But if he can move twice, that's gonna be a problem. Like,
Yeah. Agreed.
So
Especially if he can fly when he does it.
that's the stuff. I don't really know what's going to be good because all the stuff that I think is good in the game is going to, I think, change in the next 6 months. Like all of the things that I consider really good, like Maggotkin, I think is going to get is going to get a new coat of paint, and Warclans is really good, but it's up in the air. And Giants are going to be good. Giant stocks, very good right now. They might get hit with points changes that fuck their shit up in December if they get spammed a lot and do well. That's one thing to think about, but they're going to be strong until that December FAQ. Soulblight's going to be good till December, and then pending points changes.
I mean, you could probably do a whole show on that.
Morathi looks like she's recession proof at this point. Like until they point her out of the game, Doc will be able to hang around, I think.
Stormcast will be weird.
Yeah, that's a book I'm actually super excited for.
Like a wild card.
3+ across the book, basically. Deep strike mechanics.
Dragons.
Dragons, dog.
Dragons, mortal wounds, all kinds of cool shit. They can go with cities. Like Stormcast.
Well, they can
stocks.
bring cities into their book now.
Yeah.
Mesquite in the chat just asked what our thoughts are on BCR.
I
Baby
think
Giants.
BCR
Dollar
are
Store Giants.
a little better than Dollar Store Giants. I'm glad that you brought that up. Because that's what I thought they used to be. But I think that they're Dollar Store Giants in every way except their mortal wound output, which gives them a very unique place. Because it's so you only are like 80 or 90 wounds. Like that's what you're going to be with BCR. And Giants are going to be around like 140 or 50, which is going to make them just better at a lot of things. But you have charge mortals, you have shooting mortals, you have hero phase mortals, you have shooting phase mortals. You have mortal wounds all through almost in every phase. So that's going to make them really good counters to a lot of this like
I say
80
stack.
like 80 wounds in my army, but I have a 3+ and I stack saves. Like I don't care about your save stack. I'm just gonna fucking kill you with mortals. So and they're fast. But anything that can dictate damage against them is just gonna kill them. I think that's where they are.
It's
nice
hard.
thing about you got a couple the Frost Lords and stuff that have a 3+ base. Their stocks are definitely up because you can save stack on those in the same way.
Noblars, dog, bring some.
They have a save. They have the 3+ save, and they have a built-in 5-up fill no pain. So
you should have at least 20 Noblars in your list. Like 20 Noblars should be in your list to be in front of your shit.
That too. But there's a guy there playing a Thunder Tusk Frost Lord, so he has a 3+ base, -1 to hit, and they give him the new amulet to give him a 5+ feel no pain too.
Yeah, very tanky. Lots of healing. More healing than you think. They've got a prayer. They've got the pot. They've got
and Life Swarm until he gets FAQ'd is really good to take on that kind of a list too.
Yeah. So somewhere played well, I think can compete, but you don't have much room for error because you don't have a lot of stuff.
And it's matchup dependent too.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I think it suffers into some shooting lists because you're just getting counter the Unleash Hell.
There's not a lot of that going around. Yeah.
One thing that we were finding over the weekend too is KO stocks down, big down. So that's a huge part of the shooting meta.
Yeah. And one thing that they do have against Unleash Hell is that their charge mortals go off before their Unleash Hell does. So that's a nice little like nice little counter to a lot of Unleash Hell units, because a lot of Unleash Hell units don't have saves or don't have mortal wound saves and just die, which is nice.
And as far as Unleash Hell counters, I think Nighthawk's injured. Nighthawk's not in a good place. Let me just say that first.
Yeah,
But their 10+ charge thing you can stop Unleash Hell with that as well.
Yeah.
Because you get to fight before they get to shoot.
it's nice.
0 monsters though.
Unclear, yeah, that thing. I think you need monsters that could be competitive. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you
At
need
least
at least
a couple.
one, at least one that will live throughout the whole game.
Mobile, and durable.
Yeah,
Damage
you can
third. Damage doesn't matter as much as the other two.
yeah, like Archaon, Nagash, things like that. Those two monsters can just outright win you a game.
Well,
Yeah, what I
even
found
okay.
is in list building, what I really like to go after is if you either want one god monster, so like Marathi, Archaon, that kind of thing, and if you don't have that, you want 2 like medium monsters. And what I mean by that, like my Nurgle list, I had the Manticore and the Unclean one. Like you either want one big one or a couple smaller, like medium-sized ones, to really take the most advantage of these battle tactics.
Yeah, like Kevin and I played a game with. I played against this Archaon and Nagash, and really what kept me in the game was those extra points from just banging on shit with Archaon. It was just like, okay, I was down by 5 points, and Archaon scored 4 points by himself by killing one unit. So,
Yeah.
you know, he got the point for killing a battle line, got it for being a monster, got it for killing a monster, and it was just like having one big beefy or a couple small ones like that that can go score you the extra points that you need. Because you're going to inevitably, like, if you choose them correctly, you're not going to have an issue scoring the battle tactics. But what I saw in that game that we played is I was picking some risky ones. I was picking, like, I'm going to go kill Nagash right now with Archaon. And then I fail it. And it's like I rolled, so Slayer of Kings, I rolled 4 dice and rolled 3 6s. So I had 7 fucking wound dice and didn't roll a single 6.
Shit. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
Bullshit. Me too. You want to know what fucking Terrorgeist did against Drycha in 3 rounds of combat in a doubles tournament? Didn't do shit. Didn't kill Drycha. It was awesome. At 20 dice re-rolling, not a single 6. So my story's better.
One thing I think Noe was alluding to when he said he didn't like monsters as much will be what I think a lot of players do when they trap themselves. If you are just taking monsters to have monsters and not paying attention to having the speed and toughness, you're just giving away free points, because that scoring a point around for killing a monster, if you're just giving them free monsters, it's just going to lose the game.
Well, that's what we were talking about with, like, all of the monsters that we bring got wheels. Like, Archaon's got a built-in teleport. He flies 14 inches. Like,
yeah, like Tyreek Hill and shit.
Yeah,
well,
them dudes got wheels. Like, we're not bringing slow monsters to the table.
like
You're a
race
Lario with the
some
great
monsters.
unclean one with a tree.
Yeah.
A great unclean one. No one expects to see that big motherfucker come bellowing across the table.
So,
It's
I was gonna say some monsters though, like in the support role, I think are gonna be doing really well, because you got those what are they called? Like the troll hag. Like most of the time, people were just like, I'm not gonna kill that thing, and so I was able to edge up points on my opponent just because she's a monster, even though she doesn't have great combat. She kind of sucks at magic, but overall she's just really tanky and heals.
You ain't gotta worry about that troll hag. It's gonna be out of the game.
But same with Archon and stuff and Manfred. You're gonna see that they do those as well.
That's the ideal medium monster, right? Is something that is either tanky or you aren't going to be fighting with it and you can protect
they're more of the support role, but they can rack up those extra points and they become more valuable than a Stonehorn would, because that Stonehorn's just going to go kill something and then die, and then you're going to give your opponent a free point because of it.
Yeah. Like, Archon is outstanding. I love him right now. I'm going to play him a lot soon. I mean, you can't kill him unless somebody really messes up. Like, especially you combine him with the Ash, and he's at a 3-up re-rolling save, and you get 3-up re-rolling ones with all those mystic shields that he can put on himself. Like, you're not going to kill that guy. Like, you got to put like 100 damage into him. 100 individual wounds into him to make him die.
Talking about the ogres, one fun thing that me and Gavin ran into in doubles, if you cast that Gur spell on an ogre foot hero to make yourself a monster, you count as an ogre monster, so you get the 4-up charge damage.
Big giant
Before-
brain, dude.
Yeah,
Brain
wild.
this. I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's kind of something you were already doing with the ogre, because the ogre they have that spell also, don't they, where they can make something a monster for a turn and it gets that. Don't they have it in the book? I can't remember. Wasn't that kind of one of the
It's specific to their chariots, I believe.
Yeah,
Or-
you make
Oh,
a
yeah.
Rhinox unit.
Something. Yeah.
To the Rhinox.
But that character died till last word. It was funny.
Yeah,
It was like, oh, I'm doing it, dude. He got the Terrorgeist to 1 wound, and then he died to Overwatch.
yeah. That's the one downside with doing that is if you're not careful, you'll just give away free points by making your shits monsters.
Also,
Mhm.
I have another example of this. Iron Jaws player again. I had Arcane Bolt on my Rune Lord. Important. Note that. So it gets to his turn. he War Chanter buffs himself. War Chanter's on 1 wound. Also important. Note that. War Chanter buffs himself, and then he uses a wizard to turn the War Chanter into a monster. He's like, I'm killing your Warlord with a monster. And he charges my Rune Lord and dies to Arcane Bolt. So, yeah, that guy was really fun to play, though. Old DJ. Good guy, good fella.
You guys laughed at my my story about the Kyle bringing his gyrocopter into my
Yeah.
my fungoid cave shaman.
was excellent.
Getting finest houred.
Yeah, he
And
finest
the
hour
Fungoid's
a
sitting there with
fungoid
his
cave
4+.
shaman.
Yeah, and then
On
banged on the freaking gyrocopters.
Yep. On the other side of the map, I was like, I'm gonna finest hour with nothing near him. He's like, okay, I'm going over there with my gyrocopter. Went over, missed the shot, charged in, and then the fungoid killed it.
Ultra excellent.
Kyle, you're always a fun game. Every time.
Like JTJ's on Archeon now.
Oh,
We're not surprised that
this
you're buying
thing.
something else.
We all. So the bad thing about making Harambe's Heroes win everything is that we all there's 6 of us that came home with this thing. So if it gets good, we're all gonna play it. See, watch.
I got
Look,
mine
see,
too.
Look, yeah. Turn your camera on, nerd. Look at that. See, yeah. So if he's broken, we're all gonna play this, and we're gonna make all of you cry about how it's broken. I want to laugh.
But
Lament-
JTJ, you're not allowed to
Lamentations.
play.
Yep, he's got one. He's painting his. Wow, nice. That actually looks dope. I like the mask thing you got going on.
Yeah, JTJ's getting him in Archeon now. He
Yeah,
wants to
dude,
be.
JTJ,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
not
gonna
allowed to
kill
play
him.
slaves. You're gonna give it the kiss of death. I like that
Yeah.
book too much. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't-
there's plenty to chase, man. Chase something else.
Yeah.
Leave
Don't
our
kill
stuff
something
alone.
else. Don't do it to slaves.
Kill
We like
my
it.
shit. Yeah. What do I want you to play so it'll get bad?
Go play Lumineth.
Yeah, dude. That's how we get it out of the game. JTJ has to play Lumineth. We need to get a thing. What are those things? Those lists that people get all the signatures on? What is that called? A petition. We need to get a petition to make JTJ play Lumineth at the next tournament so it gets nerfed into the fucking ground and I don't have to do it anymore. So, make Lumineth dog shit again. I liked it better that way.
Yeah, leave slaves alone.
All right, what other nonsensical shit do we want to talk about? I've run out of nonsensical shit to discuss.
Yeah, I'm tapped right now.
Yeah.
It was fun to see y'all. It's been a while.
Hammerfest thing. That's coming up soon. Sooner than y'all think. Paint. Evan, make Ryan paint.
Yeah, so
We can't make the impossible happen, okay?
if you've made it far enough in this video to be here still somehow, thank you. First of all, thank you. Second of all, your lists for Hammerfest are going to be due September 11th.
We've gained
And it's
3
going to be
people.
worth points.
Interesting day there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Is it just on accident or?
Yeah, that happened to be 2 weeks before the event.
Oh, okay, with no significance.
We-
Okay.
we actually
There's this thing
gained-
that happened on that day
Oh.
a little while ago.
Yeah.
It may be 12.
Well, it was, you know what? It was
Maybe
good to see you
September
guys
12th.
again. I've been out of the loop for a minute, so it was cool to hang out and see everybody. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
For sure. You need to come do stuff.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna come by the store tomorrow and hang out for a little bit. You know, we're in a holding pattern until next week anyway on finding out anything else. So we'll come hang out tomorrow, maybe play a game or two.
Yeah, be dope. Okay. Yeah, thanks for watching us be stupid. We really appreciate it. And all that fucking heartwarming shit. Stay safe, have fun, and come to our stuff so we could all hang out and have fun together. Yeah.
Be you
See y'all dudes.
later.